Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com, joined by Andy Semotiuk. Andy, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Sean.
Okay, so today we've got from your Forbes article 22 suggestions to speed up your U.S. immigration application. We talk all the time about delays and waiting, and that's what drives people nuts when it comes to immigration. But you've got 22 tips to speed it up for them, haven't you?
Yes, and I have just a preliminary point to make.
Sure.
When I was writing my bar exams, I noticed that some lawyer candidates tried to develop their own system of writing the bar exams, thinking they could do better with their own system. But the truth was, no, you have to follow these precise instructions. And the ones that did fine. And those that veered off into their own world, they didn't do well. And it was all about following the instructions, the basics, which is what we're going to go through right now.
Okay, great. So let's go through these basics. You've got this one here, like you were just talking about, follow the guidelines precisely.
Right. The golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. If you want the gold, follow the rules. You got rules to follow, precisely follow them.
Okay, let's go on to number 2. Submit, and this sounds kind of basic, but you're talking about the basics. Submit a complete application. Put a bow on it for the powers that be.
Yes. Do not leave anything out. If they say it's required, it's required. Don't think you can complete an application later on. No, it has to be complete when you submit it.
Excellent. Number 3, hit the bullseye. Be thorough and complete.
Yes. Accuracy counts. Quality counts. Language counts. Be accurate in describing what you're doing and make sure everything is exactly right.
Okay, number 4, follow instructions carefully. USCIS puts instructions out. You should read them.
Yes, I mentioned this earlier, but this is just another kind of little reminder. Don't just fill in the forms. Follow the instructions. They have instructions that are beside the forms. Read the instructions and follow the instructions in filling out the forms.
Okay, number 5, avoid mistakes. After you've done it, double check.
Yes, I had a client who used to bug me like crazy because he'd always say, can you triple check that? Triple check it. And I had done it. I checked it already and so on. Double check, yes. Triple check, I don't know. Maybe that's a little too much. But double check, I'm all for it.
Okay, number 6, submit it early.
Yes, timing matters. Just imagine the other guy who's going to be reading this or the gal that's going to be reading this. They got like 100 of these coming in every day or maybe longer or more. So the ones that come in first are the ones that are going to get the better treatment. They're fresh, they just had their coffee, they're ready to go. If you're at the end of the day and you've already done like 95 of these things, you're tired. So it's important. And even in other ways, timing counts. So apply well in advance.
Okay, early bird gets the worm. Number 7, use premium shipping.
Yeah, FedEx, UPS, etc. Throw in the extra money to make sure the thing gets there and that you have a record of when it arrived so that you don't have to worry about did it show up or you say you sent it, but did you really send it? You've got a record.
Okay, number 8, stay informed about processing times. USCIS has a website you can check.
Yes. You can check the processing times for applications like yours, and you can also check your specific application once you have the filing, the number that they give you, that they send you with the receipt. So you can check those to make sure that everything's on track.
Okay, number 9, stay informed, keep updated on like big picture stuff and immigration policies and such.
Yes, sometimes things can change to your detriment and you don't notice it. The pandemic was a good example of how things were thrown upside down and people were, confused about what to do and when and how. Stay on top of the news. It's your application, your life that's on, at stake. So just stay on top of what's happening in the area. It may mean a shift or a change of where you have to file the application or some extra file, some extra document you have to file. Just stay on top of things while you're waiting.
Yeah, and to add to that, Andy, I know that with the Hungarian travel thing, the news that came out a couple of weeks ago, depending when you're watching this, I mean, these rules that they don't grandfather it. Sometimes it's like that starts today, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 10, priority filing. Research if your application qualifies for priority processing. What is that?
Well, in some cases, it's, for example, in the EB5 world, there's a thing called priority processing, which deals with certain set aside categories of projects that get special treatment and can be processed within a year, whereas the normal time is 4 years. These set asides are things like high unemployment areas, the rural area where you're filing in a rural area, and also improvement of things like sanitation and so on. So in those instances, you get priority processing. Be alert to where there is priority processing, because it can mean the difference between 4-year waits and 1-year waits.
Right. You've got here as well emergency or humanitarian reasons. Talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. If you're going to lose $10 million unless you get to the United States in the next 2 weeks, let them know about that. If you have a medical condition that's not treatable anywhere except in the United States, and you could die because of it, let them know about that. If you have a child who has special needs and needs special attention and can only get that special attention at a certain school, let USCIS know about it, and they'll process your application quicker.
Excellent. Number 11, money. Consider premium processing.
Okay, premium processing means you pay, for example, $2,500 extra, and your application is processed within 15 days. There are certain visas that you can get this priority processing, this premium processing. I shouldn't say priority, but premium processing. Right. Where you pay the $2,500. Examples are L visas, TN, well, not TN because you get that at the border, but L visas, H-1B visas, O visas, etc. Work visas in particular.
Excellent. Okay, number 12, submit. This sounds kind of basic, but maybe for dinosaurs like me and you, Andy, I don't know, but submit electronic applications.
Yeah, we're moving into the electronic age, if we're not there already, in terms of U.S. immigration processing. So if you can do, there's a choice still sometimes. You can do online or you can do paper. Well, I mean, if you got online as a choice, choose online.
Excellent. Okay, number 13, consular processing. Apply for a U.S. visa at the consulate.
This is amazing. Sometimes you can get whatever you're trying to get, such as a work visa, quicker by processing outside the United States and coming back in at a U.S. consulate than you can by applying inside the U.S. So you got to check that out. Be, attentive to what are the processing times either way. And who knows, maybe you need to fly back to whatever your homeland was to get the work visa to come back in, and you get it much quicker.
Interesting. All right. Number 14, avoid RFEs. What are these?
Yeah, requests for evidence, usually because some document is not submitted in the way it should be. An example might be, a poorly readable birth certificate, or some form was not properly filled out, some error made in terms of how the form was filled out. And these requests for evidence are sent out saying, okay, we're not going to deny your application, but we're going to ask you for more evidence. What it signals sometimes is you didn't do your homework. For example, your business plan, if you're applying for a visa, such as a work visa that may involve a business plan, is insufficient. For example, it may not have discussed how many workers you're going to employ in a new project you're going to be doing. So you get these requests for evidence. It corresponds well with the, being full and accurate in your application. If you do that, hopefully you can avoid these requests for evidence.
Okay, number 15, provide certified translations.
Okay. It's one thing to translate. It's another to get someone to certify that it is translated properly. The certification you need is something that says along the lines of, I hereby certify. I, being someone familiar with, for example, the French and English languages, and able to and competent to translate the language of these documents hereby certify that the English translation is a true and accurate translation of the French original. That's the kind of certification you need when you submit a translated document.
All right. 16, you can follow up.
Yes. Okay. Suppose your project or your application's in a dead end. We can start phoning. You can start sending emails. You can use some of the services that are available to check on your application to get it back on track.
Number 17, and as you say, track your application. USCIS actually has tracking tools, so you can do that.
Yes, you can. I mentioned earlier that there are USCIS websites where you can check how long is it taking to process this kind of application, and also how long is it going to take, or where is my application, and is it approved yet or not, or where are we? You can use those tools to track your application.
All right. Number 18, be flexible with appointments.
Yeah. Sometimes you have an application pending and the appointment that you want is not available, but another appointment is available. Well, better one bird in hand than two in the bush, as they say.
Right.
Be flexible about when you're going to be asked to come in. And even if it's sort of inconvenient for you, better to get that appointment than to botch it and then not have an appointment and have to wait for an opening down the line.
Absolutely. Number 19, utilize what's called InfoPass. What is InfoPass, Andy?
You can go online and using InfoPass, make appointments, and especially in local offices. For example, if you live in Los Angeles and you're trying to figure something out and it's not working, you can go online through InfoPass to make an appointment to go see the Los Angeles USCIS office and talk to an officer to get it all straightened out.
Excellent. 20, you can talk to other people besides immigration officials.
Yeah. People should look at what's being discussed online. There are these chat groups and so on where you can talk to other applicants who have filed their applications and get a sense of where you are and if you're on track or if you're off track. That's a really great thing to do. I find many clients of mine are in these groups that are sharing information with one another, just to fill them in on things, especially during the pandemic, for example. It was very helpful to learn information from these chat groups about where you can go, what time of day, and so on regarding the borders and stuff like that.
Okay. Number 21, as we do all the time, Andy, we communicate clearly.
Right.
Take it away.
Okay. I'm a big fan of great communication, and that means both written and verbal. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's really important to be polite, to be straightforward, to use simple language, not highfalutin language, but simple language and clear language. Writing something is not enough. You got to edit and re-edit. I think for someone applying for something that's really important, it's worthwhile to spend some extra time rereading everything you write and just editing out anything that makes things blurry or is kind of confusing in terms of the line of thought that you want to put across.
Yeah, I like that you've got here. You use proper channels as well. Make sure you're talking to the right person.
Excellent. Also, a little tip there. Make sure if you're writing, for example, following up on an application, make sure you're reaching the right USCIS office where the application is being processed. And you have to check the documents, the receipts, and so on that you're getting from the USCIS to see what office it's coming from and communicate to that office rather than perhaps the first office where you file the paperwork. Sometimes these things are shuffled over to various offices for processing.
Great. And number 22, we saved the best for last. There was a comment online where someone said, this should be number 1. And I thought, well, that's kind of a bit lazy. You know what? We'll go through all the tips in case someone is absolutely bent on doing things themselves. But yes, number 22, this is a big one. This will save people a lot of time. Let's face it.
Yeah. Yeah. this is I spend my life doing this. To draw an analogy, for example, you can either get into a cockpit of a 747, open the manual at page 1 and read it and try to fly the plane, or just pay the airline for a ticket to fly as a passenger in the plane, leave the hard stuff to the experts. That's the same thing when it comes to immigration.
Absolutely right. All right, Andy, there they are, 22, speaking clearly, 22 suggestions to speed up your U.S. immigration application. You can find Andy's articles on Forbes. Just search Forbes Andy Semotiuk. Andy, great to see you. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sean. Take care.
Bye-bye.